Good evening. Welcome to the City of River Falls Municipal Utility Advisory Board meeting for Monday, April 15th, 2024. Lene, could we have the roll call, please?
Bartles. Bjork. Present. Carroll.
Present.
Gardner.
Present.
Klecker.
Present.
Blick.
Present.
Toom.
Here.
All right, looking for an approval of the minutes from the UAB meeting on March 18th. Can I get a motion?
I will motion approval.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Minutes approved. All right. This is the time in our meeting for public comment. If anyone does have comment, if they want to step forward to the podium and please sign in, state your name.
Hello, my name is Jeff Bjork. I'm from the city of River Falls, and I don't see it on the agenda, but I just want to say welcome to the new members here. And not just because one's a Bjork, but just because they're all going to be great additions to our team. So welcome aboard.
Thank you, Jeff. Anyone else? Moving on to the consent agenda, acknowledgement of the meeting minutes from the West Central Wisconsin Biosolids Facility Commission. Can I get a motion?
Move approval of their minutes.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I did actually have a question for Kevin. I did notice in there that they were looking to add another operator. I thought that was curious since they are redoing the facility, modernizing the facility. They're losing our volume. Why would they need more labor?
Yeah, so the labor really is a succession planning for West Central Biosolids. They have one of their employees who is, I think, going for 2 knee surgeries, one, then another one, and will be retiring sometime in the near future, he has indicated. So it's a bit of a succession planning. And then when you only have 2 operators, if one goes down, then if the other one gets sick, it gets a little bit of a bottleneck in their system. So succession planning, and then people on the boots on the ground to help out during some of these other illnesses and medical things going on right now. So that's why.
Thank you, Kevin. Any further discussion? Looking for an approval of the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the consent agenda is approved. Moving on to new business, item number 3, the resolution recommending the award for the 2024 directional boring contract.
Sure. Wayne Cyberling is here today. He might talk about this for 1 minute, and I don't know if I'll steal too much of his thunder coming up here, but we did have bid opening a week or so ago, and we were happy with the bids. We had 2 very close bids. Within one was $295,000, one was $299,000, so within about $4,000. TD&I is more of a local company. We have worked with them in the past. We've been satisfied with their work. We did in Hodgman Drainage. We have not worked with them in the past. We did get our attorney's recommendation that low bid is how we should go. We checked references for Hodgman, and it's been nothing but very positive feedback. Including Wayne visiting with them. They're doing site visits. They're excited to be our directional boring company. So we did end up choosing low bidder, Hodgman Drainage Company, who went through the process, our low bid, and we would like to award them the bid. So Wayne, if you want to give a little presentation about the projects that they'll be working on.
The first one is the extension from Winter Street area out to Radio Road. That's a dual 6-inch conduit with them pulling in 750 MCM 3-phase power through one of those conduits for tying our north and power plant substation together.
That's a big deal, by the way. I want to emphasize that because we've been talking about this since we built the power plant substation, 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
2 years ago already.
Yes. So we built the power plant substation on Winter Street big enough to supply power to the whole town. We know our corporate parks are a little bit on of a radio feed out of the north substation. And we talked about the day when we could tie power plant substation and north substation together. So if one of the substation goes down in the near future, we'll be able to feed both of our corporate parks out of both substations. So this is a big piece that's finally going to be what was the last golden spike in the railroad. This is kind of our golden spike in the electric system to tie these two together. So that's going to be happening this year. Sorry, Wayne, but I just want to emphasize that big piece.
No, that's great. Yeah, so that's one of the projects, and then the Woodridge map with cable replacement. So the cable replacement it's in our CIP on a yearly basis, dictated by age, number of faults in the current location area, and ironically enough, I mean Friday night we had a fault in this area.
I want to build on that, Wayne. So the last few years in our cable replacement program, this cable's aged to go 25 to 30 years. And the last couple of years, we have had several outages just months before the cable replacement. So we're right on schedule, and the cable lifespan is right on. So it's wearing out right before we're replacing it. We have discovered this, I think it's 3 years in a row now.
It's pretty close to that. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we've had
So,
a couple outages right before we would do this cable replacement, which is 30 years old.
correct. Yep.
So it's right
So-
on.
Yep. So yeah, as you can see, it's in backyards and some road right away stuff that we have to work with, right away permits with the township of Troy. It's in their township, but they've been a good partner in those avenues at this point too. So yeah, those projects, we'll be working on them on and off throughout the summer, depending on our other needs throughout the city are needed or wanted in those areas. So it's one piece of the puzzle for our maintenance program we've had going on for that replacement. I want to say it's 20 plus years at least since I've been here. We've been doing some cable replacement that whole time. We're getting to the 1980s versions of how old our cable is in town now. So, and
And rear lot line is tricky. I mean, rear lot line is good in this fact. You go down the middle of a rear lot line, you can feed both houses from the middle of the rear lot line. That's the good news. The bad news is you can imagine lot lines that were built in the 80s are full of sheds and gardens and basketball courts and everything you can imagine.
a lot of
So it's
fences.
pretty tough to get a backhoe down these rear lot lines. So boring is the way to go.
And working with the customers, typically has been really great and positive. Most of them are understanding during this time frame of us basically not tearing up the yard, but making it inaccessible at times, but they've been really understanding as well.
And if we had our druthers, front lot line would be better, but it's twice as much cable often because you have to go down each side of the street then.
Yeah.
It's just,
The equipment costs and
it goes up.
Yeah.
So that's positive. It's easier access. It's probably a little better on the customer. That's the positive side. Negative side is it's more expensive because you have to do almost duplicate systems on each side of the street. So.
Oh, yeah.
Wayne, does this bid include any miscellaneous work, include unit pricing or anything like that? Or how do we deal if something comes up
There,
unexpected?
yeah, good question. There's some unit pricing in there for any commercial or residential projects that pop up that we can build off and from and get those costs transferred to those projects in the future of this year. So it's good to have that available in case we need it.
Right, and do we typically bid something like this annually, or is it just on a project-by-project basis?
This year is annually. Typically in the past, it's been every 3 years. This year it was decided by internal conversations of bidding it just a single year this year.
So Wayne, too, you might help the audience out with, so would we ever call TD&I for an emergency?
Yes, and we have. They've been really responsive, and actually, they're still a willing participant to help us out in any need fashion that we would need moving forward, even now during this time or in the future.
So you have a primary cable failure under a large parking lot. It needs to be fixed promptly. We may call TD&I, who's out of Hudson area,
Yeah.
come over and just get that, so.
So we'd have basically the option of two different contractors.
For the most part, I mean, it's gonna come down to large project costs depending on what the, outage is or the needs is. Yeah.
And
For sure.
TD&I's emergency costs or their setup fees and whatnot, they're a little bit less. Did I understand that correctly, Wayne?
Well, I mean, I would consider it considerably less.
Considerable, okay.
It's 3,000 versus almost, maybe $250, so,
For TD&I, so.
Okay.
being that they're so local.
And Wayne has done a really nice job keeping that relationship with TDI. I mean, they're definitely disappointed here, right? I mean, they had an aggressive bid. They really wanted the work,
Yeah.
just missed it. And Wayne has reached out and tried to keep that relationship solid. So we are able to use them for emergencies. They have great pricing, and they'll have another shot next year.
Yeah, the responsiveness from them has been phenomenal. The good conversation I had with Hodgman and versus, the conversations I had with TD&I, I feel like the city is in really good shape with all those projects that are coming for us in the future of this year.
And I want you to be assured too, we looked into this. I mean, there's the relationship component of these bids, right? You think could matter. But we did reach out to the city attorney. We looked at state statutes. And there probably is a way to not take low bid in this situation, but you'd have to have a pretty solid reason of non-performance of the low bidder, things like that. And we did our due diligence and we feel comfortable with the low bidder, so.
Absolutely.
Okay. So with the main boring project, they're gonna pull in the 750 right
Correct.
away. So that's part of their quote.
It might be a week or two later, but they'll
Okay.
they'll get the pipe in first and then have actually another company come in and pull the cable in.
Okay, but that's not gonna be a separate,
Nope.
that's all
That's-
covered in that 290, whatever it is.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And
then
that's some
with-
big cable, by the way. If you
Yeah.
haven't seen 750 MCM, that's an anaconda.
Man.
That's an anaconda.
Close, yeah, it's
Yeah.
2.2 pounds per foot, so, and there's 3 of them, so. It pulls in
That big around?
pretty close.
Something like that.
yeah, So,
And then with the stuff we're doing in the backyards with cable from the 1980s and cable today, is the life expectancy of cable putting in the ground today, is it longer than 30 years?
it is, yeah, it's, some companies are approaching, 50 to 60 years, without any lightning or mechanical dig-ins,
One of the differences on that too is the older cable from the 80s had a neutral that was on the exterior jacket of the cable. It's corroded off in many cases. The new cable, it's jacketed cable, so the concentric neutral is embedded in the like a rubber. It's not really rubber, but whatever the component is that holds the jacket. So it will last twice as long, probably.
And the insulation's a little bit larger inside, so instead of a 1.75 millimeters,
Yeah.
it's up to 220 now is the standard. So the insulation's larger, doesn't seem like much, but it's added a lot more life to the cable.
And will the old cable be left in the ground, or does that get pulled out when the new one's getting pulled in?
Unfortunately, it has to be abandoned in place, otherwise we have to manually dig it all the way
Okay.
out, so.
More than you ever wanted to know about directional boring. We could sit here and talk all night about it if you want to.
Is there any further discussion? Looking for a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll motion. Second.
All those in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right. Reports. Kevin, you're up.
Yeah, before we do that, Dean is here today. Dean's going to talk about 2 items that we kind of thought about since last Friday that I think could interest you. One, he has some pictures of our dryer project that's underway, and Dean will talk about that. $9.5 million dryer project has started. And then he's going to talk to you about an EPA requirement that the DNR is overseeing on lead services, a little project we're gonna have this summer that we'll ask for your moral support on. So Dean, take it away.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Let me figure this out here.
Just like you drew it up.
Lead service lateral inventory is what this is.
Yes.
An EPA regulation that started about 4 years ago. We heard about it. We started working on it right after COVID. Every lateral in the United States needs to be identified by October 16th of 24. What they're trying to do is determine what is in the ground. It's not telling us we don't have to move on it right now. We just need to determine and identify what we have.
So you said they. So they is the
EPA.
EPA. So the EPA, the federal level says, we need to determine what every water service is in America, including commercial and residential. So, and we're just one community in the country that is undertaking this to be completed by mid-October this year.
Yeah.
Dean, we've got a good start on it. Go ahead.
We've completed, as you can see up there, this is what they're looking for. The service line, whatever its intended use is. We still need to know what it is. The service line material classification, lead, galvanized, no lead, or lead status unknown, material classifications, both on the customer side of the curb stop and on our side of the curb stop, along with address. That's what they're mandating. There's I'll get it to you at some point. There's I don't know, it's about 25 column spreadsheet the DNR sent me that we have to fill out. Not everything is required, so we're doing the required ones, plus we're doing what the building material is. When we're in the buildings, we feel that's gonna come down the line later, that they're gonna say, okay, now we know what's in the ground, now we wanna know what's in the buildings. So we're getting ahead of that right now.
And for context, Dean, we have about 4,100, or I'll round up, 4,200 service lines to the community, to buildings in the community.
Correct.
That includes a multifamily, a 24-unit place would have one. So that's why it's
So-
less than the number of services we have. So we have about 4,200, about 3,000 are done.
Correct.
We've got about 1,300 to still identify. And we have a program that we're going to
Yeah.
try to ask the help of the 1,300 to help us identify what's coming into their water meter.
We have two actual in place right now. A couple guys in there, well, one is the lab tech and another guy that, when the lab tech's got some free time, he's going through all our old curb stops. A lot of the old curb stops, when they upgraded to a copper line in 85, the ones that were put in 40s, that's all written on them curb stops. So he's going through those. The number we have up there is stuff that we have, in the past 4 years, we've been in these homes, we've done cross connections, we've changed meters. So that's how we got these numbers, and the permits of anything after 1986.
So that's how you got to 2,857.
How we got to 2857.
And that number is growing before we reach out. Is that what I'm hearing you say, Dean?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, and anything newer than 87 or 86, there was a lead ban, so we know none of those. And to tell you, and I want to let you know, is we don't have any lead service lines in River Falls.
That's a bold statement, by the way, if you really believe that.
I do believe that. I should say that. I know of one. But what
I know
this
of
is
one.
requiring is that we verify what everything is. Because I would say very boldly that we have one lead service line in River Falls. We have
That we
lead
know of.
goosenecks. We have lead goosenecks. That's not on their radar right now. That's nothing they're worried about right
We
now.
maybe have several hundred of those potentially.
Yeah, we feel between 300 and 400, somewhere in there. Assumed lead. And anytime we work on a curb stop in town now, if it's galvanized to the street, we dig up and we make sure we have we change out a lead gooseneck if there's one there.
So let me summarize that. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Chris.
A gooseneck.
Oh, you
is-
talk about it. I'm going to go grab one off my desk.
He's got one on his desk. A gooseneck comes out of the main and it goes up and it curves like a gooseneck and hooks to the lateral that goes into the house. back in the 1880s, 1890s, early 1900s, when they put our water mains in, that's what they used to hook into the main. They drilled a hole, sweated some lead in there, and worked good. Easy to bend, easy to move. Until they realized it's not very healthy. So that's all this is it's an inventory, and it's something that we have to, I can't just say, I know I don't have any lead service lines. They'll say, how do you know that? So we have to either physically verify them, permits, or anything that's been documented saying it's copper or galvanized. So that's what that is about. We have a survey that we had done. Go ahead, bring in your lead gooseneck.
This is a lead gooseneck. This connects to the main, water main. Goes up.
Kevin, can you get in front of the microphone?
Over here.
Yes, I can. Lead gooseneck. This comes off the main. It's got a little gooseneck, and then it connects to the water line here. Here's why they like using lead. Stuff's malleable. You can move it around. So that's why they probably liked that in the back in the day. You can do that with copper too a little bit, but yeah, lead was malleable. So, and then when we do our lead water sampling that we're required to do every year for the DNR, we know where there are some lead goosenecks, and we test for lead in worst case scenarios, which include lead gooseneck locations, and we're still below the DNR standards.
That'll come up
Way below.
next month with our water quality.
So Dean, somebody might say, well, why are you not getting lead detects when you have a lead gooseneck, Dean? Because why, Dean?
Because we had polyphosphate.
That lines the inside of these goosenecks so the lead doesn't seep out of the gooseneck into the water. If you think back to Flint, Michigan, they were not putting that
No, they
in their
saved
water.
some money.
Saved a little bit of money. And they weren't lining their lead pipes.
That's why when we do our water, we add ortho or polyphosphate here. So, and we also, just real quick, we do have a survey on hand. We had developed an online survey that if we need, we're gonna send it out in our mailers or a Facebook post or
All of the above, if we have
all of
to.
the above, but we're trying to get away with it right now without doing that as much as possible, which
And-
we,
Yeah, and we don't want to go into everybody's home. We don't want to send everybody knocking on every door. So what Dean's going to ask people to do is you're going to get a mailer. It's going to have a QR code. You're going to take you to the city website. There'll be a place for you to upload a picture, take a picture of your water meter and send it in, and we can identify what it is. So
we should have had one on here.
yeah, so that's what we're going to try to do this summer.
Yeah.
If
So
need
that's-
be.
I'd like to have it in by the end of August so that it gives me some time, because they may come back with questions.
So
And so I've been to the meetings and all this. Last week I was at a water conference. If we don't have 100% of our homes done, they're not gonna shut the water down and lock us up. If we have a good grasp on it and proactive, we'll be fine. One community that's near here told me at the water conference, they're not doing it. They're not gonna do it.
So I had Dean check into that. Dean, what did the DNR tell you if we didn't do it?
If we didn't do it, we will be assumed all of our lines are lead. And we would have to go on TV. We would have to put a paper in the paper telling everybody we have lead lines. And we don't want to do
So
that.
we don't want to do that.
So anyway, that's the lead copper inventory.
So be looking for that this summer. We'll need your moral support there. I'll tie that all the way back to the beginning. So if your neighbors go, what is this? What am I supposed to do? Why is utility care? This is a national thing. We're just one of the pieces to try to identify what type of water line is running to every house in America. If you have a lead line, they're going to come up with
Lead line,
programs to
call
change
me.
them.
And I would hate to be in Milwaukee trying to do this. So.
Yeah. So I guess there's a silver lining in this. Speaking of leads and linings, tie that reference together. Is so here's where water. We live in a community that hovers over 3 aquifers. We have clean, safe, affordable drinking water. We don't have a lead service problem, so as far as we know. So We're in a pretty good situation, and we don't have PFAS either.
Don't have PFAS now that the new
So,
regulation
I'm
came
just
out.
gonna-
I don't know if you saw that.
I'm just gonna knock on wood, but we are, River Falls is very fortunate today in all of those categories.
I can't remember the number. There's several communities in Wisconsin that are now gonna be affected by this new level, so. I didn't even know they could measure
Dean
that
is
low.
referencing, this came out last week. They just came out with a new lower level for PFAS that you're gonna have to do something with. Again, we got no detect, so we're.
We were,
lucky.
yeah, no parts per trillion, so we're
Let's go
good.
to a fun project, Dean. Let's talk about.
Let's go to a
this
fun
dryer.
project, the wastewater treatment facility dryer update. So to date, all the excavating and dirt work is complete for the frost walls. Today, they were pouring concrete. They formed and poured the footings for the frost wall. Tomorrow, they plan on forming up the frost walls and possibly pouring those. And that's this week's plan, is to get all the frost wall. I assume you guys, I shouldn't assume. There's 6 feet of wall that's gonna be underground. That's for frost. So when we show pictures here, here's them guys today. All this is gonna be underground. This is 6 foot high. This is the corner of the building where the metal, these verticals you see are gonna, that's where the metal posts are gonna be for the structure itself, the beams, the support beams. So this is the corner, full of rebar. But up this high will all be underground when they're done. This will be all filled. Trying to think if I had any better pictures of, this is the inside of the building. This will be where the floor of the building will be, and it'll be up about that high when they're done. Just another picture. Here they are. They came today. This is their pumper truck for pouring. And this is the trucks filling a pumper truck. And there they are, pouring it.
In the old days, you just wheelbarrow.
Wheelbarrow it. I've done that before. So that is our dryer. It's off to a good start. They've had good weather. They're right on schedule of what they planned on doing.
In the background, there's the fire training facility.
There's our fire training facility that someday might be moved over far left.
Hey, I'll give you some good news, a little bit of good news. We're off to a good start. Again, I'm just gonna knock it here because I'm jinxing ourselves tonight, but the fill that they needed for this site, they found in the pit right behind this place, and
Yeah.
we got about $6,000 saved on that. So it's always good to be in the plus category. I'm sure we'll find this place to spend that somewhere along the way, but we're already getting creative and saved a little bit of money out of the chute.
Yeah, so they hauled 6 truckloads in today. They had 3 hooked up to this pumper all at once at one point, and then at the same time, Biosolids showed up to pull a load of sludge out right here. So it was quite chaotic. So there. Anything else? Any questions?
Yeah, I think it's important you guys know this stuff and just be aware. People in the community ask questions and whatnot. You guys are their ambassadors, so it's good you know. So
I do have a question. Mike Gardner, what is the exact location for the project?
So this project, it's down at the wastewater treatment facility. Have you been down there?
No.
I'm gonna give them a tour.
Okay. South
Let's
Apollo
see,
Road.
yeah.
I'm trying to see if there's a picture of something.
So do you know where the Eco Village is on Apollo Road?
So this is a current wastewater facility.
So if you're on Maple
Over
Street,
here is Foster Cemetery. Are you familiar with that?
so if you're on Maple Street going west, go west on Maple.
I've got it now.
Okay.
Take a left on Apollo off of Maple.
Yep.
The Eco Village will be on your left. Just keep going down that road. At the end of the road, the end of the rainbow, is the wastewater treatment plant.
Yep. So
The
this
lowest
is
spot in
our
town.
facility, yeah. And then we do have all the equipment has been ordered and is scheduled to be on time. And that. What? January is when they get January, February. They figure the building will be up by the end of July. The building will be built. And then we're gonna be waiting for equipment. I mean, inside there'll be stuff to do, but the shell will be. And then they got to run some pipe from that building in the background to the new building. But we should have everything indoors by January. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean. That's a good update.
I don't know how to get out of this.
So I can keep going. Some announcements here. So River Falls Municipal Electric Utility was awarded the American Public Power Association gold designation of the Reliable Public Power Provider, known as RP3 award. Nobody really knows what that is, but it took our department 3 months to fill out that application. It's a rigorous, deep under the hood look at our electric utility, including finances, days of liquidity, safety awards, training, staff, the way we operate. And there's over 2,000 public power utilities in America and only just over 200 that get this award. It's an award that really, it doesn't mean that much to the public. It probably means more to Wayne and myself and maybe you folks, because it tells you that your local municipal electric utility is paying attention and doing things right. So it's really good for us to go through this exercise because it keeps us in the right standards and doing the right things as compared to others. So it's a lot of work. I know Lene and Wayne spend many, many hours compiling that, getting their fingers into a lot of different areas of the city and our business. But it's so hats off to Wayne and his group and Lene for putting that together. And you guys have earned that the gold award for RP3, which it puts you in an elite group in 10% of public power utilities. So great job, Wayne. So I just want to mention that. And to go with that, we also were awarded the APPA Safety Award of Excellence. That award score is part of the score for the RP3. Like you have to get those or you don't get the RP3. So safety is a big deal. Every day, every time I get a chance to mention it to those guys, it's safety first. Slow down. If there's an outage and people are howling to get the power back on faster, I say we work deliberately, we work safely to get the power restored. So we don't ever hurry and we don't ever cut corners. People's lives are on the line. It's a big deal. Those guys work safely. So good job for that. Hey, then this is like a trifecta. It's National Lineman Appreciation Day is April 18th this week, so go hug a lineman on April 18th. We did order lunch, I think, last week or week before, and I took them out and said thanks to those guys. So, and then on that, Wayne had out in Man Valley, the contractor, Haas and Sons, is finishing putting some conduit in between the old lift station by DeSanctis Park to the new lift station location. And there was a segment of about 400 feet that the conduit wasn't in yet. Wayne has been trying to coordinate with Haas and Sons for about a week and getting that done. It was supposed to happen today. The trench didn't finally get open until about 3:30 today, and that just happens to be the time our guys go home. We had guys stay today, and on top of that, we reached out to Dean's crew in water wastewater, and he had some guys come and help the electric department, and they're probably just finishing up now. So those guys just worked a 12-hour day to do the job, knowing the weather's coming, knowing the trench is going to be filled back in. So I can't say how proud I am of those guys to stay. They didn't have to. They could have said, no, screw it, we'll do it next week or whatever. But they stayed today, missed family dinners. And then Dean's guys who had no skin in the game said, yeah, we'll help out too. So that's a big deal. Good work, fellas. Just want to mention that. Well, there. How about that? Yeah, we don't get applause too often, but that's worth it. Earthfest. Yeah, I gave you a little flyer on that. Everything you wanted to know about Earthfest. I kind of poked Mike Noreen and I said, tell me more about Earthfest, and I get the packet. So every donor's in here, every prize is in here, every speaker is in here. It's happening over on campus this Saturday, April 20th. So if you want to be part of Earthfest, hug a tree right here. Saturday, April 20th, Earthfest. We started it, the university embraced it, and this has turned into a big event. So it kind of reflects our commitment to sustainability in our community, and it's part of that. So we fostered that along Another fun one, electronics recycling. We only do this one once a year. This is April 27th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Electronics recycling. Items accepted, ballasts, batteries, cables and wires, cell phones, computers, dehumidifiers, old holiday lights, light bulbs, printers, old TVs, and more. There's a free cycle pile as well. So drop off gently used electronics, someone else can use them. So we'll see Chris in there sifting through there for an old alarm clock or something. I don't know. That maybe they're after dark. So we'll have that in there as well. This is a big event. Also, we do have also in your packet, and I'm going to mention this too as well, that we have a little different traffic pattern for this because this is a one-day event in a 4-hour window. Unlike spring cleanup and fall cleanup where it's 5 days long and the crowd's kind of spread out, there's a map. You come in by Quick Trip, and then you go down the back road on Benson Street and get in line that way. Because what we found out in the past, if you come in from Main Street, the traffic was backing up all the way to Main Street and onto Main Street, causing a little bit of a traffic issue. So come in by Quick Trip and then go down Benson that way. That's able to handle a few more cars in line on that road that's not as busy. So bring your electronics on Saturday, April 27th. Yes. 1.5 semi-trailers full of electronics recycling last year. We did find a new vendor this year, and we were going to save some money. So we'll see how that goes. You know what they say sometimes. If it sounds too good to be true, it might be, but we're going to find out on April 27th. A new vendor, I think they're out of the Eau Claire area. So you could save some money and get the same thing accomplished. Drinking Water Week is May 5th through 11th. And I want to remind people, our water utility, a little bit of trivia tonight, is 130 years old this year. So that is quite a feat to have been in business for 130 years. And Dean, we probably have some pipe in the ground for almost that long. So spring cleanup, May 13th through the 18th. That is that 5-day event. That's down at the Public Works Garage, Monday through Friday. And then also Saturday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. So Monday through Friday is 4 to 8, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, May 13th through the 18th, spring cleanup. National Public Works Week is May 19th through the 25th. And then we'll honor our Public Works people, take care of the streets, parks, and snow plowing. I do want to welcome our new Utility Advisory Board member, Amber Bjork. Welcome, Amber. We're really glad to have you. And I did a little research this afternoon and found out Amber is our first female citizen-appointed Utility Advisory Board member. So congratulations. That's a milestone. So good work. There was one female who was on the Utility Commission when it was a commission prior to the board back in 2009, 2010. So we're really glad to have you, Amber. We met this afternoon, and Amber's going to fit right in here. So we're glad to have you. What else do I have? Oh, disconnects. So the winter moratorium for not being able to disconnect somebody throughout the winter months ended, I think, Friday or today? Today, the 15th, today. And our customer service staff had been working really hard on getting that number down. Friday, they had 50 disconnects. They could have disconnected them this morning, but we gave people the weekend and today to make payment arrangements, and they have that down to 13. So we're getting down there, and I'm guessing by the morning when we start doing actual disconnects, I bet we get that cut in half again. That's typically what happens. People figure out their finances tonight, see if they have any money left over after paying their taxes, and they'll come to the utility. So I don't know about that, but so 13, so 50 on Friday to 13 today. There's a lot of people on the phone. Customer service is working very hard and working with folks to get that done. So hats off to them and their hard work. We start out with sending out about 750 letters. So go a long ways. What else? Let me see. I think that's my highlights today. Am I missing anything? Are there any questions for me that you would have today? Again, I just want to say welcome, Amber. Thanks for everybody's interest. These topics are important for our community, and I'm glad you're here tonight and asking questions and digging in. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Kevin, for bringing up the announcements. You did my job there, so that's nice. Amber, we do want to welcome you aboard to the board. With that being said, looking for a motion to adjourn.
All motion.
Second?
Second.
The meeting's adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.